It's me, it's Travvy T. Bang!
Welcome to Book It Wrestling Podcast for the fans, by the fans, where we book, rebook, and revisit your favorite wrestling storylines. I'm your Commissioner Lil X Fudge, and today we are here with your GMs, Damone D Money,
Mellow,
the bad guy Kenny,
Oh yeah,
the 10th return of Hi-Fi Mike.
party on, Garth.
are we
Hey.
sure that number's right? Has anyone actually been counting?
I
Nope.
count every week, D Money.
Just take his word for it.
Go back and listen. And the illustrious return of Primetime Travvy T.
I honestly don't even know if John can count.
True.
I do teach in Oklahoma.
You teach geography and don't know it.
Also, he's teaching
Like
math.
I know you don't know your subject. Like that.
Israel somewhere.
He only knows a specific type of geography,
Yeah.
and none of the things we want to know is what he knows.
You know what's funny? John doesn't even teach geography. He's been teaching about rocks this whole time.
He's been teaching math. He just told us.
That'd be hilarious. He's teaching geology.
Was it Josh?
But found out he was a geometry teacher.
Damn.
That would be insane.
That'd be crazy.
Teach about the triangular rocks. But
But Bill, like,
Gopher Rock, Hollywood Rock,
Paragathian
and the
theorem.
final boss rock.
Bofa and 4.
yuck.
But speaking of yuck, tonight we continue the BookItVerse. You've been waiting. You have been gooning, perhaps.
Please don't. We banned you from these words.
You have been long awaiting the end of BookItVerse 4, and it has now come. Primetime
us.
Travvy T has come to give you the remainder
That's-
of his
Yeah,
show.
I don't like the way you hit the word Travvy T has come. Like, I don't like the way you phrase that.
That's the payoff to the
I didn't
build-up.
have any problems with it.
See,
We gotta-
Kenny, that's how you're supposed to take that.
Unlike Tony Khan, I pay off my stories.
What happened?
Don't you owe us a
Right?
story
You're
from
rooting,
like
and
4
then Travis
Book
is
It
coming.
verses ago?
What?
Don't you owe us like a story from like 3 or 4 Book It verses ago that you never
Yes.
finished? You said you
And
were
it's
gonna go
written for
back?
BookItVerse 5. Stay tuned, audience. But for now, Primetime Travvy T is going to take over the reins, and he's going to tell us about his show. I think it has something to do with the Civil War or the Confederacy or something.
The show is called GPW Civil War. So it's mostly going to be like my Survivor Series with my two brands going at it. All right, so let's get this show on the road, shall we? After hearing the news that champions on each brand would face off against each other at Civil War, the Shield cut a promo from a nondescript location to warn the elite of what's coming. The screen starts with static and then cuts to show Jon Moxley. You boys got the short end of the stick because you don't get to come out and wear your cute little costumes, dress up like your heroes, come out here and do your gymnastic act. Nah, at Civil War, it's going to be just that. War. Roman Reigns pulls the camera on him now. You know, for months now, we've been getting asked, how does the Shield stack up against the Elite? You know what we used to tell him? Rollins pulls the camera on him now. Who? Those clowns on the other show that they roll out for the intermission so the fans can use the bathroom and buy some merchandise? Maybe get a hot dog and some popcorn? Mox grabs the camera now. See, when the Shield is in the ring, there's nobody leaving their seats. There's no intermission. There's no jokes. There's no giggles. There's no costumes. It's just... Rollins interjects, violence. Roman pulls the camera on him. Dominance. We are the standard bearers in this industry, and you're going to find out that despite those titles, you just don't measure up to the greatest group ever assembled. Mox grabs the camera again. We aren't coming to Los Angeles to win a match. Rollins puts himself in the frame now. We're coming to prove a point. Reigns pulls the camera on him now. We're coming to prove that on your best day, You don't even scratch the surface of what we're capable of. Believe that and believe in the Shield. Later that week on Justice, the Elite face off against 3 Count, and after their victory, they stand in the center of the ring and go for a 2 sweep, but then lower it in front of them, mocking the Shield's fist in front for their signature taunt. The Elite posts the newest episode of BTE mocking the Shield. We see Kenny Omega with an ulafala around his neck as he sits at the head of the table. On either side of him, we see Nick Jackson, who is dripping blood from his forehead, and Matt Jackson, who is wearing an inflatable outfit and is laughing maniacally. Kenny Omega grabs the camera and pulls it close to his face before saying, "Ooh, ah, acknowledge your beliefs!" Matt Jackson grabs the camera. "I see a vision of violence in your future." Nick Jackson grabs the camera and growls into it and bangs his head on it repeatedly. You can hear Matt Jackson laughing maniacally in the background and Kenny Omega repeatedly shouting, "Ooh ah." Suddenly, the video cuts for a moment and cuts to static and distorted pictures you can't quite make out flashing on the screen. The lights turn on and we see that the Elite are at a local Burger King dining room and the blood on Nick Jackson's face is actually ketchup. A teenage boy comes into frame. "How many times have I told you guys, do I have to tell you guys that you can't turn the lights off for your stupid YouTube video? I'm trying to run a business here." The video cuts out in the middle of the Burger King manager's rant. A few hours after posting, the Elite pulled the video from the web and released a statement that the video was infected with malware, cutting it to a disturbing graphic in the middle of the video. The Elite say they are investigating this and will re-release the BTE episode once they get everything sorted out. The next week on Anarchy, the Shield respond to the Elite. The Shield tell the Elite that they just don't get it. They think that this is just fun and games, a cool way to make cash, but this is a blood sport. This isn't about money and championships. This is about legacy. This is about greatness. This is about dominance. This is about being the best. The Elite can make all the jokes they want. They can make all the YouTube videos their little hearts desire, but when we get to Civil War, the time for smiles and giggles is over. Because the Shield is going to smack the smile off their faces. The Elite have another match that week on Justice. This time against Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, and Chavo Guerrero. About 6 minutes into the match, the Shield storm the ring and attack the Elite. The Elite try to fend off the Shield, but the initial ambush proves to be too much of an advantage to overcome. The match ends with the Shield putting Kenny Omega through the announce desk with a triple powerbomb. The Shield then drag the Young Bucks over over top of Omega and hit their signature pose over the pile of the bodies. The next day on the BTE YouTube channel, the Elite posted an impassioned promo telling the Shield they want to fight. And if they want to fight, a fight they will get. The Elite tried to keep this a friendly rivalry, but the Shield won a war. So, the Elite are happy to oblige. At Civil War, the Elite will stop at nothing to prove that the Elite is the greatest trio in the industry, while the Shield are nothing more than another force-fed Vince McMahon pet project to get Roman Reigns over. The video cuts to the flashing imagery again from their last upload. The screen goes black and the words "shock the system" flash on the screen as the video ends. That week on Justice, the Elite are in the ring for a promo, but before they can say a word, the PA system rings out with Sierra, Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield. And the Shield make their way through the crowd. The Shield surround the ring and climb onto the apron. Roman Reigns tells the Elite that they're here to repay the visit that the Elite paid them on Anarchy when they attacked the Shield with their backs turned. Oh, I think I skipped something. Hold on. I did. My bad. The Shield cut another promo from a nondescript location, doubling down on their promise to prove to the world that they are the best trio in professional wrestling history. Then their camera feed cuts out to static, but we can hear the struggle and commotion from the other side of the camera. The screen flashes the word shock the system, and then the video feed cuts back in with the Shield laid out on the ground and nobody else in sight. All right, so that week on Justice, the Elite are in the ring for a promo before they can say a word. The PA system rings out with Sierra, Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield, and the Shield make their way through the crowd. The Shield surround the ring and climb onto the apron. Roman Reigns tells the Elite that they're here to repay the visit that the Elite paid them on Anarchy when they attacked the Shield with their backs turned. The Elite say they had nothing to do with the Shield getting attacked, but if the Shield wants to fight, The Elite are happy to oblige, and the Elite welcome the Shield into the ring. Just as the Shield steps through the ropes, the lights start to flicker on and off before dropping entirely. The Globotron cuts back on with the word "shock the system" on it. The lights come back on, and the Elite are lined up on one side of the ring, the Shield facing them from the other side, but in between them stands Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. The Undisputed Era looks to both teams, smirks, and attacks them both. The three trios brawl for a bit, but in the end, the Undisputed Era stands tall above the other two teams to close out the show. Ariel Helwani does a sit-down interview with the Undisputed Era for TNT Sports. Adam Cole explains that Undisputed Era is sick of the GPW pretending to be the only game in town, that they are the big leagues when it comes to pro wrestling. The Shield and the Elite aren't professional wrestlers. They're sellout prima donnas that work for a television show. Undisputed Era is the trio that goes from town to town. The lights, the camera, and the pyro might be missing, but the Undisputed Era, a professional wrestling ring, and a pack of rabid fans are there every single night. Pro wrestling isn't about glitz and glamour. No professional wrestling is about the grind, about the grit, about the sacrifice. Nobody has sacrificed more than the Undisputed Era. Blood, sweat, tears, birthdays, anniversaries, funerals. Night after night, they choose wrestling over the real world, while the Shield and the Elite make work one night a week to go home to their families for the other 6. Screw your sound stages and television studios. Screw these overrated D-list actors cosplaying as pro wrestlers. But most importantly, screw your Civil War, because if the Elite and the Shield are fighting to be the best trio in professional wrestling, they've both already lost. You want to be the best trio in the world? Then you got to beat us. Over the weekend, World Wrestling Association Chairman of the board, Bruno Sammartino, announces the WWA and GPW have decided to allow WWA talents Undisputed Era to compete against the Shield and the Elite at Civil War in a triple threat trios Anarchy in the Arena match. On the Go Home episode of Anarchy, the Shield cuts a promo on both the Elite and Undisputed Era ahead of their impending match. The Shield tells Undisputed Era that they should have kept their nose out of the Shield's business because now they have to become a casualty of the Hounds of Justice. It doesn't matter how many teams they face, what the stipulations are, the results are the same. You can believe that, and you can believe in the Shield. On Justice, the Elite cut a promo in the ring on the final episode before Civil War, promising victory that they will prove that they are the best trio in the world today. All right, time for the match. All right, so I'm just doing spots. Adam Cole hits Roman Reigns with a Florida Keys, which is a straight jacket German suplex down the concrete steps. Repeated German suplexes into a brick wall from Bobby Fish to Seth Rollins. Brainbuster onto a setup steel chair from O'Reilly to Jon Moxley. The stomp on a cinder block from Rollins to Nick Jackson. Roman Reigns hits a spear through the LED board on Kenny Omega. Meltzer driver, which is a springboard somersault spike kneeling reverse pile driver. From the Young Bucks to Seth Rollins for a 2 count broken up by Bobby Fish. Jon Moxley goes for a suicide dive, but is met by a steel chair shot to the head from Kenny Omega. Kreutz Wrath, which is an electric chair dropped into a bridging German suplex from the second rope onto the steel steps from Omega to Reigns. A Herbert Meltzer driver, which is a springboard suicide somersault spike tombstone pile driver on the exposed concrete from the Young Bucks to Jon Moxley. Phoenix Splash off a ladder through a table in the crowd from Rollins to Bobby Fish. The Elite hit a Tiger Hattori special, which is a rolling fireman's carry slam into a springboard moonsault by Omega, followed by a high angle senton bomb by Nick, followed by a 450 splash by Matt onto Moxley. Roman Reigns hits a Niagara driver, which is a sit-out crucifix powerbomb off the concourse through a table to Adam Cole. The Young Bucks hit Bobby Fish with a super kick party with thumbtack adorned Jordans, making Fish bleed. A Death Rider DDT on the thumbtacks from Moxley to Matt Jackson. Omega hits a double jump 450 splash to the outside, putting Adam Cole through 2 tables stacked on top of each other. Mox and O'Reilly come nose to nose in the center of the ring, and both men start throwing flurries of strikes. KOR connects with a high kick. At the same time, Mox answers with a stiff elbow to the jaw. Mox and O'Reilly both stumble around the ring, punch drunk, before simultaneously collapsing into the middle rope. Both men spring back up and blast the other with a pendulum lariat, putting both men down. Panama Sunrise, which is a super flip pile driver onto a steel chair from Adam Cole to Kenny Omega. Superplex to the outside onto a barbed wire board from Moxley to O'Reilly. Sit out suplex slam from the top rope from Bobby Fish to Matt Jackson. And a triple power bomb through a table from the Shield to Bobby Fish for the pin and the win.
I got the first comment. I don't have my rating yet.
Yeah.
But after Dynasty last night, how the fuck are the 3 first people you mentioned, John Moxley and the Young Bucks? That had me pissed right away.
I wrote this so long ago that I couldn't. My bad.
But I'm gonna need a minute for ratings, so I'm gonna let somebody else jump ahead of me. I just wanted to say that real
I
quick.
don't need a
Best
minute.
versions of them. Remember, that's your thing that you always say.
That is true. This is back when Moxley had hair and aura, and back when the Young Bucks had a moveset.
No, he
They
just
hit,
needed the song.
they hit the thumbtack super kick party. Like it's we're here.
Yeah,
We're out.
yeah.
And they also had hair back then. That wasn't thinning.
I actually think Moxley looks better with
One of them still has
I
it.
agree.
You said Moxley what?
I
Looks
think
better
Moxley
without
looks
hair.
better without hair.
Yeah,
I
he looked
find him
dirty.
way
He
more
looked dirty with
intimidating.
hair.
When he had that like little like fade like early in AEW, I thought that was his best.
Nah.
But
No.
I'm gonna start though. I'm gonna start with the ratings. We can talk about hair all day. All right. So I gave you a solid 4.
Okay.
I think it was a good way to open the show up. You got all these different. You got the little gang wars going. So I do like that. I think the actual match was really good. You made it like very stiff. It made it very like dangerous with that too. Not my kind of match, but
Right. Mine either.
yeah, well, I get it. The storyline I thought was good. I think honestly the weakest part was what's their names? Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. That
Yeah.
was my problem. That was my problem.
That's fair.
I think they were the weak point of it. I honestly think you would have been stronger going with just the Shield against Undisputed Era. But I get what you're trying to do. I get what you're trying to do.
Here's the thing. I think that if you had this feud, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega would be the weak point on the mic because none of them are a great promo. Like at no point has anybody said like the Elite are great promos.
I
get it, but you can make them good. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
I think they were good for what he did too. Because that the whole Burger King thing and the being the Elite, that's something they would have done. Like when they were doing that show, that cheeky like mocking humor, and so that fits their style and everything of what they would have done. I'm giving you a 5. If I had my 5.5 still, I would have given that to you.
Thank you.
Can't because I don't have it. But here's $5. Love the feud, like all 3 teams. I think you did a good job of encapsulating all of their style, like their style of promo, the Shield with the passing the camera, the Young Bucks with being like mocking and joking and then picking and speeding and like then eventually getting serious. I'm assuming Adam Cole cut the primary part of the Undisputed Era's promo. So, but like I can see them doing that, like the whole shock the system and everything. I thought that was really good. The match was fire. 5.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I got my rating ready.
All right.
I'm going with Kenny on the solid 4. It wasn't perfect. I like some of the stylistic notes, like Damone said. I like the malware. I thought that was a creative way of going about it.
Thank you.
And I liked the Burger King skit. I thought that was one of the better points because it it made the Young Bucks likable again. I was like, it
added some levity to a very serious feud, and that's what I was going for.
And for me, the weak point was the Undisputed Era. Like I just wasn't invested in what they were doing. Like the early part of the story had me more hooked, and then the later part, I was kind of like, yeah, this is there. So I'm going with a 4. It turned out well, but it wasn't like perfect.
Fair. Mike?
I'm going with what Damone said, 5.
Let's go! All right. We're going to waste no time. No time wasted. All right, Global Women's Champion Mandy Rose won her title several months ago in a ladder match against Jordan Grace. Since then, with the help of Gigi Dolin and JC Jane, Mandy Rose has ruled over Anarchy Women's Division with an iron fist. In recent months, Mandy Rose has been faced with a slew of challengers. At Proving Ground in November, Mandy Rose was pushed to the limits against Candice LeRae, who claimed the champion was nothing more than a pretty face pushed by the machine and couldn't hang bell to bell with the Poison Pixie. In the end, Mandy Rose was able to defeat Candice LeRae with a Kiss the Rose running bicycle knee after LeRae was distracted by Toxic Attraction, retaining her title in the process. Oh, by the way, I'm giving you guys like backstory on the rest of these feuds, so that way you kind of like know what these people have been doing before this pay-per-view. At the same show, Toxic Attraction faced off against reigning global women's tag team champions Siren Song, Su Yung, and Rosemary. The match came to an abrupt end after an errant attempt from JC Jane to stop Young forced Su Yung to botch a panic switch Samoan driver off the top rope to Gigi Dolin, leading to Su Yung breaking her neck.
Hey, Travis booking the botch is crazy. Like, on his ass.
It's not in the match that's getting presented. I just
And
had
in the women's division too, Mike. Get his ass.
JC Jane takes Rosemary out with a discus punch and drags Gigi over Su Yung for the pin and the win. After the match, the new champions continued their assault on Rosemary, throwing her into the barricade and steel steps repeatedly, bashing her head off the steel ring posts, busting her head open, before finishing with the Gigi driver to the concrete floor. This caused something in Rosemary to snap, between her partner breaking her neck, losing the titles, and then being viciously assaulted after the match. Rosemary wants revenge. Rosemary is bloodlusted and nothing will satiate her aside from having Toxic Attraction's heads on a platter. After weeks of attacking Toxic Attraction on site, Anarchy General Manager Alicia Fox makes a title match for December's pay-per-view, Last Call. Mandy Rose versus Rosemary for the Global Women's Championship. Rosemary's passion becomes her downfall as she is presented with the opportunity to win the title, but instead chooses to inflict further punishment on Toxic Attraction members Gigi Dolin and JC Jane. Smashing both of them with the steel chair repeatedly, Rosemary has a sort of psychotic break at the end, screaming out and then dropping the chair as her whole body shakes and her face twists and turns. As Rosemary slowly backs away from the carnage she caused, she turns into a bed of roses for Mandy Rose. Rose covers Rosemary for the pin to retain her title. Over on GPW Justice, WWA Women's Champion Bayley has a similar stranglehold on her division. After defeating Alexa Bliss at Fear and putting the nail in the coffin of that feud, Bayley was looking for a new challenger. Who better than her fellow horseman and who many consider to be the greatest of all time, Charlotte Flair. Bayley defeated the WWA Women's World Championship against Charlotte in a singles match at Fatality in November. Bayley catches Charlotte with a rose plant and is able to secure the pin and retain the title. The issue is the referee didn't see that Bayley's shoulders were also on the canvas for the 3 count. This forced a full investigation from the World Wrestling Association's executive leadership team. In the end, the resolution is that WWA matchmaker Dana Brooke announcing that Bayley will once again defend her women's championship against Charlotte Flair at the last pay-per-view of the year, Fatality, in a 2 out of 3 falls match. At Fatality, Charlotte and Bayley tear the house down. Charlotte eventually gains the first fall by submission, utilizing the figure 8 to force Bayley to tap out. A little later in the match, it looks like Flair is setting up natural selection on Bayley, but Io Sky leaps on the apron to distract the referee, and Dakota Kai rolls in the ring and blasts Charlotte with a Kaio kick, after which Bayley capitalizes with a pin to even the score. It comes down to the final fall. Later in the match, Charlotte has Bayley down on the canvas, and the Queen scales the turnbuckles and sets up for the corkscrew moonsault. Just before she leaps, Bayley springs up and pushes the ankle of Charlotte Flair off balance, making Flair collapse on the top turnbuckle. Bayley climbs up after her and hits an avalanche Bayley to belly for the pin and the win to retain her championship. All right, now we're into like the actual feud. On Anarchy, Mandy Rose and Toxic Attraction make their way to the ring for a promo. Mandy Rose grabs the mic and begins to brag about all of their accomplishments. Is there no one left? Are you not entertained? The crowd drowns her in boos. Gigi Dolin and JC Jane chime in, with Dolin listing victims of Rose's reign, and Jane shouts snapped after each name. Jordan Grace, snapped. Candice LeRae, snapped. Rosemary, snapped. Su Young's poor little neck. Snapped.
Not the
And
toxic
three of them-
penitentiary.
And the and the three of them laugh. Mandy Rose steps front and center once again. Put some respect on my name. I am the greatest woman to ever grace this ring. These broken down bimbos can't hang with me. The only women's division that matters is this one. Rose gloats as she holds the Global Women's Championship high above her head. But if any other women's champions want to compare notes, I have no problem popping up on your show for a little damage control. Rose smirks. I'm going to deliver that line again because I didn't do that well. But if any other women's champions want to compare notes, I have no problem popping up on your show for a little damage control. Rose smirks as she tosses the mic. Toxic Attraction poses with their titles to end the segment. Later that week on Justice, Bayley and Damage Control hit the ring to celebrate Bayley's victory over Charlotte. Charlotte Flair, Charlotte's Web, Little Deb, don't matter, you freaking idiots. Bayley in 3. The champion struts around the ring arrogantly as she dresses down the crowd in the women's division. I knock goddesses out of the clouds and snatch crowns from queens. It's time for me to take my rightful spot in the pantheon that is women's wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nobody else left in the discussion. There's no more competition. There's no more false god. There's no more goats to sacrifice. I am the last of a dying breed. I am the greatest of all time. As these words escape her lips, Mandy Rose's music booms throughout the arena, and Anarchy's Global Women's Champion makes her way to the ring, flanked by Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. Toxic Attraction pose in the ring as Damage Control stares in disgust in the background. Mandy Rose grabs the mic and walks up to Bayley. Bayley, I don't think we've met. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm the GOAT. Mandy extends her hand with a smug smirk on her face. Bayley's face screws up in indignation before she chuckles and nods her head. Funny, I thought you were just the next lamb in line for slaughter. At the sound of these words, Bayley steps nose to nose with Mandy Rose, and the two have an intense stare down before Mandy smirks again and takes a step back. There's no need for tough talk, Bayley. Neither of us are scared. We already have a dance set for Civil War. We don't need to fight here. The world will all know the truth soon enough. You're just another statistic, another notch in my belt, another girl that thinks she's got it all figured out, only to come up just that short. See you soon. Mandy Rose drops the microphone, and after a short stare down, Toxic Attraction leaves the ring. The next week on Anarchy, Io Sky and Gigi Dolan go head-to-head in singles competition. JC Jane accompanied Dolan to the ringside while Bayley and Mandy Rose joined commentary. But Dakota Kai was conveniently absent. The women's champions spend the match arguing and talking over one another instead of adding expert advice to the match commentary. Meanwhile, in the ring, Gigi Dolan is able to steal the victory after JC Jane is able to pull Dolan out of the way of a moonsault from Sky. Dolan capitalizes with a GG driver for the pin and the win. That Thursday on Justice, Damage Control has a meeting backstage. Dakota Kai immediately begins to interrogate Sky. She's asking why she dropped the ball on Tuesday at Anarchy. Bayley interjects and asks Dakota Kai why she didn't even bother to show up on Anarchy on Tuesday. Dakota tells Bayley that her flight got canceled, and the two continue bickering back and forth until Io Sky eventually comes between them and shouts, "Enough!" The two women look stunned as Io separates them. Infighting isn't going to help anything, and we cannot change what's already transpired. If we don't get Bayley ready for her WWA Women's Championship match against JC Jane next week, we may not even have a spot at Civil War. We must focus. Dakota Kai scowls at Bayley, who doesn't try to hide her disdain either. Finally, Bayley agrees and says Io is right. Kai nods her head and says, yeah, right. I need a breather, and walks out of the locker room. The next week on Anarchy, Mandy Rose is backstage being interviewed by Renee Paquette. Renee asks how the champion is feeling going into Civil War against Bayley and Damage Control. Renee, I'm not worried about dysfunctional Damage Control. They're more worried about who to blame for their losses than they are facing us. Bayley and Damage Control know what everyone else should have already clocked. They can't beat Toxic Attraction. Simple as that. Later that week on Justice, Bayley is scheduled to defend her World Wrestling Association Women's Championship against JC Jane. The match is a war of attrition immediately, neither woman wanting to give up even a slight advantage to their opponent. Eventually, the referee gets caught in the chaos and is knocked through the ropes and onto the floor, leaving the referee unconscious. At this point, all hell breaks loose as Toxic Attraction and Damage Control hit the ring for some faction warfare. In the chaos, Io Sky goes for a springboard dropkick to Dolan, but Dolan is able to step out of the way, and Sky blasts Bailey. As Sky stands up, Jane blasts her with a discus punch, and Dolan rolls out of the ring, dragging Sky's body with her. The referee comes to and crawls back into the ring just as JC Jane covers Bailey. Just before the referee counts 3, Dakota Kai rips the referee out of the ring and onto the floor. Dakota Kai rolls into the ring and immediately blasts Jane with a running KO kick. Dolan hits the ring and tries to flatten Kai with a clothesline, but Dakota ducks under and rebounds off the ropes and answers with a running high knee. Mandy Rose comes out of nowhere and tries to stop Kai with a Kiss the Rose running bicycle knee, but Kai rolls under the knee of Rose and bounces off the ropes, slicing Rose in half with a spear. Kai leaps to her feet and screams out as the crowd rally behind her. Mandy Rose crawled to the corner and pulls herself up with assistance from the ring ropes. Kai sprints at her for a KO kick, but at the last second, Rose drops to the canvas and rolls under the bottom rope. Kai gets hung up with one leg stuck over the top rope, and Jane smacks her with a discus punch from the ring apron, knocking Kai unconscious. Bailey sees Jane on the apron and rushes over, leaping to the middle rope and wrapping her arms around Jane before hoisting her up and over the top rope and slams her to the mat with a Bailey to belly for the pin and the win. Io Sky rolls into the ring as Bailey is celebrating, holding her title, and Bailey gives Sky a side eye, checking on Kai. After the debacle that was the WWA Women's Championship on Justice, General Manager Alicia Fox has booked a non-title match between Mandy Rose and Dakota Kai and has banned all remaining members of Damage Control and Toxic Attraction from ringside. The two women have an excellent back-and-forth match that comes to a conclusion after a KO kick from Dakota Kai. Kai covers Mandy Rose and pins her clean for the victory. Later that week, on Justice, Toxic Attraction is able to corner Dakota Kai backstage. Kai immediately squares up and is ready to defend herself. Mandy Rose chuckles before saying, "Dakota, darling, we're not here to cause you any harm." Toxic Attraction laughs in unison as Dakota, still uneasy, begins to lower her guard just a little. "Dakota, we're here simply to congratulate you." And Rose continues extending her hand to Dakota Kai. Kai looks at Rose's hand for a moment before reluctantly shaking it. "You see, Dakota, you're one of the best, because only the best can compete with me, let alone beat me. You are clearly head and shoulders above Bailey and Io. Why aren't you the one that's the WWA Women's Champion? Diamonds shine bright, but it appears Bailey is using your brightness as a spotlight for her own success. If you avert your attention from playing backup dancer to Bailey, I believe you'll find your future is much brighter beyond Damage Control. Maybe it's time for Dakota Kai to focus on Dakota Kai rather than Bailey or Io Sky or Damage Control." Dakota Kai looks at Mandy Rose with indignation as Mandy and the Toxic Attraction leave her to ponder what was just said. Later that night, Toxic Attraction's Gigi Dolan and JC Jane go head-to-head with Damage Control's Dakota Kai and Io Sky. Dakota Kai has a spirited performance, spending the first two-thirds of the match battling against Toxic Attraction with an unwavering ferocity. Her goodwill eventually falters as Dakota Kai hoists Dolan up for GTK. Kai's knees buckle and she collapses. Dolan wastes no time taking advantage of this by cutting the ring in half as Jane and Dolan tag in and out, taking turns beating on a helpless Kai. Dakota Kai is eventually able to rally, freeing herself from the claws of Toxic Attraction, and makes the hot tag to Io Sky. Sky comes in and cleans house with a fiery comeback, a comeback that is unfortunately cut short after Jane catches Sky with a discus punch from behind. From there, Toxic Attraction begin to double team Sky the same as they did Dakota Kai before her. Over time, Io Sky is able to battle back, and she inches towards Kai for a hot tag. Kai is leaning over the top rope, extending her arms and cheering her partner on. Finally, Sky leaps for the hot tag, and just before she smacks the hands of Kai, Dakota Sky's knee buckles again, and she drops to the apron and then the floor. Jane scrambles and pulls Sky back to Toxic Attraction's corner. She tags in Dolan, and together they hit Toxic Shock on Sky, and Dolan pins her for victory. All right, time for the match. Again, only spots. Running neckbreaker from JC Jane to Io Sky. The chiropractor, which is a front flip backstabber from Dakota Kai to Mandy Rose. A running STO from Dolan to Kai. German suplex from Io Sky to Gigi Dolan. Discus big boot from Jane to Io Sky. A Kiss the Rose running bicycle knee from Rose to Bailey for a 2 count. Gigi driver, which is an abdominal stretch driver, from Gigi Jolin to Bailey for another 2 count. Dolan and Jane pull Bailey up to her feet and for Rose to hit another Kiss the Rose, but Bailey breaks free, hitting a leaping guillotine choke on Mandy Rose with body scissors, making both women fall through the ropes to the outside. Tiger feint kick from Sky to Dolan. Spanish fly off the middle rope to the outside from Sky to JC Jane. Bailey Plex, which is an exploder into the turnbuckle, from Bailey to Gigi Dolan. Kaio kick from Kai to a cornered Mandy Rose. Bailey elbow drop, which is just the diving elbow drop she does, to JC Jane. Io Sky climbs and stands on the shoulders of Bailey, and then from the top rope, Dakota Kai steps onto the shoulders of Io Sky before leaping down with a diving foot stomp on Mandy Rose. Kai goes for the pin, but Dolan pulls her out of the ring, Irish whipping her hard into the steel steps. Back in the ring, JC Jane takes Bailey out with a diving senton. We get a delayed suplex from Rose to Io Sky. And then finally, the Bed of Roses lifting double underhook sit-out facebuster from Rose to Io Sky for the pin and the win.
So, not gonna lie, I thought we were getting the one-on-one between between Mandy Rose and Bailey until you started saying the spots, and I'm like, wait.
My bad, it's the trios.
Okay. So I'm gonna give this a 3.75. Like, I like it, but I don't necessarily love it. And I get what you're doing with the damage control, like the infighting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And
we're just planting seeds.
You're planting seeds.
build.
So I get where you're going. Yeah. Speaking of planting seeds, there's a whole lot of roses in this build. There was Rosemary, Mandy Rose, the rose plant.
Yeah.
This segment was brought to you by 1-800-Flowers.
Right.
But yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.75.
Baby, I'm at a 3.25. I think I get what you're doing. I don't hate it. I don't love it either, but I do get what you're doing. And I think the match, in my opinion, was very, very lackluster. But the feud, like I said, I'm seeing what you're doing. So it's the start of a. I see. Like I said, I see what you're doing. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. I have a feeling you're gonna do a swerve on us, but we're gonna see what happens.
I'm gonna give it perfect mid. There was, so it's gonna be a 3, and my reasoning is just that I didn't feel like this had a hook that latched me. Like, I was there. There's nothing wrong with it, but there was nothing that made me excited for it.
Yeah, that's fair. Miguel,
I liked it, but it wasn't perfect. I'm gonna go with a 4.
bet. All right, last match for this episode. After defending his title in a 6-pack challenge in October at Fear, Teddy Hart usurped his Uncle Brett out of the Hart Foundation and took the reins of the family for himself. Teddy Hart continued his Intercontinental Championship run by defending his title in an instant classic against 1/3 of the Global Trios champions, The Shield, and Seth Rollins at November's Proving Ground. His run seems to be unstoppable as at last call in December, he again successfully defended the title via submission against Kushida. Television champion Mustafa Ali is the Iron Man of the World Wrestling Association, defending his television championship on every GPW broadcast against men like Cesaro, Kota Ibushi, Jay White, Wardlow, and Shinsuke Nakamura, among others. Ali has also deemed himself the most important man in wrestling and has hired personal security he calls the Service. 3 bodyguards, all 6'5+ and 300+ pounds. Bear, Chemo, and Deuce. Make sure that Ali wins by any means necessary. Also, I'm going to tell you who these guys are, who's playing these characters. So Bear is the Godfather. Chemo is Rosie. And Deuce is Zeus.
No, it's not Deuce from Deuce and Domino.
No, it's Deuce from it's fucking Tiny
Deuce
Lister.
Bigelow.
It's
Yeah,
fucking,
I know the name. I'm just saying, I would give you got to take a quarter off because it's not Deuce from Deuce and Domino.
yuck.
And you got another Rose going on too.
Kiss him in the mouth.
What? Who's the other Rose?
Rosie.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
saying.
you're right. Yep.
He's just talking about the Rose thing.
All these damn roses.
He about to have Adam Rose in the main event.
And speaking of the national heavyweight champion, Adam Rose. No, I'm kidding. Chad Gable has defended his national heavyweight championship in singles matches against Eddie Guerrero at Fatality in November and Grayson Waller at One Last Dance in December. Gable also has slowly formed his Mount Olympus stable, headed by himself and his head coach, Jonathan Coachman. First, Gable is able to lure in a cheerleader for his team and Naomi. Next, he needs a water boy. He finds the perfect man for the job in Brandon Cutler. Then he sets his sights on the tag team, the Mafia, featuring Michael Massacre and Joe White. In the end, Gable decides he only wants Massacre in his stable, as White is just another fat slob. Massacre initially resists before turning on Joe White and joining Mount Olympus, rechristening himself as Mike Nice.
My
Well,
lord.
Anarchy. Teddy
Travis,
Hart.
you ain't shit.
My lord.
Why?
He wasn't just a slob. He had to be a fat slob.
Had to do what I had to do.
I
I
just
didn't
want to
say
point
it.
out
I
I
didn't
didn't say
say it.
that. You
Chad
wrote
Gable
that
said
and you said it.
Chad Gable said it. I didn't say it. Mike didn't say it. Chad Gable said it.
He called him a bottom two slob. Shout out
And
to
he
Mike.
ain't number 2.
What's it? Shout out to Mike.
On
You,
Anarchy.
Kenny, every week.
I'm gonna keep bringing it up because you said it.
You did say
Somebody else says something, and then you were like, "Oh, bottom 2, blah blah blah." You did that to who'd you do? You did that to Think Damone last week.
Yeah, it was me last week.
So I'm gonna keep it going too.
On Anarchy, Teddy Hart and the Hart Foundation make their way to the ring for a promo. Teddy struts around the ring for a little while with a big toothy grin on his face. Finally, he stops, looks about the crowd before finally removing his Gucci sunglasses and speaking to the people. I spent my whole life listening to what I was told by the elders in my family. All of my uncles and brothers and cousins that made it to the promised land before me. I minded my manners and I scratched, I clawed, I gave my blood, I gave my sweat, and I gave my tears to try to become what they thought I should be. Not anymore. No. I have been telling you all for months that I will no longer be restrained. I will no longer be held back. I will no longer be given feedback. I will no longer be chastised. I will no longer take direction from anyone. I sit at the head of the table now. I'm the man of the family now. I am not the next generation of Hart because Uncle Brett, while your heart is struggling to keep you going back in Calgary, mine is right here week in and week out, beating stronger than ever. Teddy Hart is staring into the camera with such fury and passion, he looks like a madman, wide-eyed and hair disheveled. He blinks a couple of times, shakes his head, fixes his hair, and begins to speak again in a calmer tone. But, Uncle Brett, you're not why I'm out here tonight. No. I took care of you. I showed you that I was the top of the Hart Foundation, and together, we've all reached new heights. We have shown the world that the Hart family stands head and shoulders above any other family in professional wrestling. Now at Civil War, I am going to show the world that I am the top of GPW when I beat Mustafa Ali and Chad Gable to show that the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion stands head and shoulders above the rest of these clowns. As he finishes his sentence, Mustafa Ali's music hits and the television champion makes his way to the ring, flanked by the Service. Ali and the Service stand opposite Teddy Hart and the Hart Foundation in the center of the ring, and in a sort of standoff. Ali offers the olive branch first, removing his sunglasses and greeting Teddy with a big smile. Ali extends his hand out to shake Teddy's and waits patiently. Teddy looks at Ali's hand before shaking his head and scoffing at Ali. You really think I'm going to shake your hand? Do you think we're going to be friends after this? We're just going to go punch each other in the face a few dozen times and go grab a drink after the bar after, huh? Ali chuckles and nods in amusement. Teddy, you come out here and you beat on your chest and talk about how since you took over, the Hart Foundation has risen to new heights. Teddy, I don't see a group of main eventers in the ring before me right now. I see some promising talent being used to prop you up and make you look better than you are. The only one I've seen rise is you, Teddy. Teddy looks at Ali indignantly before Ali continues. Look, I'm not bashing you. You and I aren't all that different. There's really only one thing that separates us. See, the service, they know what's up. They know the deal they signed up for. I am the crown jewel. I am the kingpin, and I am the only one and the one and only priority here. Ali takes a moment and looks at each member of the Hart Foundation before stopping on Teddy again. Teddy, you are a master manipulator. You have your own family believing you have their best interest in heart, but in reality, that's not true. Is it, Teddy? You're just using them to prop yourself up, using them to stay on top, using them to keep your grimy fingers gripped onto that title. At first, Teddy Hart looks incensed, but then the anger washes away from his face as he begins chuckling to himself. Ali, you have no clue just how wrong you are, my friend. You see, I don't just use my family to keep my championship. No. See, just tonight I helped out my family. Hell, they don't even know it yet. When I arrived this evening for Anarchy, I had a little meeting with Miss Alicia Fox, and tonight, Tyson Kidd is getting a main event match and a title opportunity. An opportunity to kick your teeth in and bring that TV title back to the Hart Foundation. Have fun in the main event. Later that night in the main event, we had an excellent match between Ali and Kidd. Kidd almost steals the victory with a roll-up late in the match, but Ali is able to kick out. Ali retains his title after the 0-5-4 and the pin for the win. Later that week in the main event, we had an excellent match between Ali and Kidd. I already said that. Sorry, my bad. Later that week on Justice, Mustafa Ali is in the ring with the service to open the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the most important man in wrestling and give your thanks. The crowd... Hold on, I lost my place. Where the fuck is it? Okay. The crowd declines Ali's offer, opting instead to drown him in booze. Not only am I the most important man in wrestling, I am by far the most dominant champion in the industry. Last Tuesday on Anarchy, I once again defended this title against Teddy Hart's sidekick, Tyson Kidd. I beat him in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Teddy, I hope you got a good look at that finish, because come Civil War, it's going to be you I pin for my victory. Week in and week out, I do the impossible, and Civil War will be no different. Ali defends his television championship in a singles match against Jeff Hardy. Jeff nails Ali with a twist of fate, followed immediately by a swanton bomb. Hardy covers Ali 1, 2, but just before the before the referee counts 3, the lights go out. When the lights return, the referee is laid out, and sitting in the corner of the ring with his arms outstretched on the bottom rope is Raven. Raven leaps up without a word and puts Hardy down with a DDT. The lights go out again, and when they return, Raven is nowhere to be found. After a moment, Ali begins to stir. He sees Hardy is down and out. He rushes to the top rope, and before hitting Hardy with the 0-5-4 for the pin and the win to retain his television championship. I'm telling you right now, the Hardy-Raven thing isn't important for this feud. It's just a little drop of an Easter egg for the next, when it comes up. The next week on Anarchy, Teddy Hart cuts a promo backstage with the Hart Foundation. Teddy Hart rips into Tyson Kidd, expressing great disappointment in Kidd for losing it to Ali. While Hart is chastising Kidd, Mustafa Ali and the service walk into frame. Ali tells Hart not to be so hard on Kidd. Nobody has been able to beat him for the television championship. Ali even says he doesn't think Teddy would have done any better. This enrages Hart, who responds by telling Ali that maybe if he wants something done right, he must do it himself. Teddy Hart challenges Mustafa Ali to television championship match tonight. Ali ponders his proposition for a moment before saying, "You've got yourself a deal on one condition. If you win, you get the television title. However, when I win, I get that." Ali points at the Intercontinental Championship. Winner takes all. Won't be a need for Civil War once we're finished, but we will have our answer as to who is the greatest champion. As Teddy Hart begins to respond, we hear a loud "shoosh" come from off screen. The camera pans out, and Chad Gable, flanked by Mount Olympus, walks up to the rival factions. I will have you both know that I, too, am a champion. I am the National Heavyweight Champion, and according to the rules, Coach, book. Chad Gable holds his hand out, and Jonathan Coachman hands him the Pro Wrestling Rulebook already open. When you turn to page 394, you will see in paragraph 6 that any Civil War matches between the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion and the Television Champion shall include the National Heavyweight Champion as well. I say, Now, you two can go kill each other in your match tonight, and I will pick the bones at Civil War. Later that night, Teddy Hart and Mustafa Ali tear the house down in a spectacular match. Before the match can get a definitive conclusion, Chad Gable hits the ring and starts assaulting both men. Chad Gable stands over both Ali and Hart to end the segment. Thursday night on Justice, Mustafa Ali gets a chance at revenge on Chad Gable as they have a one-on-one match. The match doesn't last long before Teddy Hart and the Hart Foundation hit the ring and start assaulting both men. The service hits the ring and the two factions begin brawling. During the chaos, Jonathan Coachman and Mount Olympus scoop Chad Gable out of the ring and slowly sneak back up the ramp to backstage. Teddy Hart and the Hart Foundation are in the ring for Anarchy next week. Teddy Hart wastes no time as he calls out Mustafa Ali and the service to the ring to finish what they started at Justice last week. Ali and the service respond from a VIP suite in the crowd. Ali and Hart go back and forth before Ali finally tells him that he has no intentions of fighting Teddy Hart in the Hart Foundation tonight. Teddy Hart responds by telling Ali that they weren't asking. As Hart says this, he drops the mic and leads the Hart Foundation out of the ring and into the crowd. As the Hart Foundation is making their way through the crowd, Alicia Fox makes her way out on stage. Fox orders security to go into the crowd and keep the two factions separated. She goes out to say that she is officially enacting a no-touch clause. If Chad Gable, Mustafa Ali, or Teddy Hart are touched by any member of the roster in a non-match event, the person who does will be suspended without pay indefinitely. Later in the night, Mustafa Ali defended his title against Mike Nice in a singles match. Mount Olympus joins Mike Nice to the ring to scout Ali. Mount Olympus has a card table set up at ringside with notes and papers sprawled across it, and Brandon Cutler has a set of binoculars that he is using to look into the ring from ringside. Ali is able to successfully defend this title with an 0-5-4 for the pin and the win. In the main event of Anarchy, the Services Chemo, Bear, and Deuce face off against the Hart Foundation's Tyson Kidd, David Hart Smith, and Brian Pillman Jr. The match is a pretty typical trios match with both sides going back and forth. David Hart Smith gets the victory after hitting a bulldog bomb to Deuce. At Justice that week, Chad Gable has a sit-down interview with Ariel Helwani. Gable tells Helwani that he feels slighted. He feels like he's being overlooked by Teddy Hart and Mustafa Ali, and that has to be against the rules. At this point, he gets up from the interview and starts yelling for Coach to bring him in the rule book, as he has something he wants to look into. Mustafa Ali defends his television championship in a fairly standard match against Grayson Waller. On the go-home episode of Anarchy, Teddy Hart and the Hart Foundation are in the ring for a promo. Teddy Hart promises to emerge victorious at Civil War. He then follows with a second promise. Teddy Hart promises to make sure Ali is the one that eats the pinfall. Mustafa Ali successfully defends his title against Sabu, earning the victory with a pinfall after an 0-5-4. Backstage after the match, Ali cuts an impassioned promo telling the world that he is the workhorse of the company. He says that he doesn't care what Hart and Gable think he doesn't care what Hart and Gable think is going to happen at Civil War. Ali doesn't have the time to worry about Civil War because unlike Hart and Gable, every single show, Ali is out there defending his title. Every episode, he wrestles. He doesn't get to take weeks off or just show up to work just to talk. This might be a big match for Gable and Hart, but for Ali, it's just another day at the office. On the go-home edition of Justice, Chad opens the show in the ring. He says he is sick and tired of being overlooked by Teddy Hart and Mustafa Ali, so tonight he is going to make an example out of a member of either the Hart Foundation or the Service. Chad Gable sends out an open challenge to any member of either faction that wants to go one-on-one with the National Heavyweight Champion. Doesn't take much time for David Hart Smith to answer the call. Gable and Smith have a good back and forth match. David Hart Smith has the match nearly won when he hoists Gable up for a bulldog bomb. Gable reverses it, slipping behind Smith and hitting him with a Chaos Theory for the pin and the win to retain his title. Later in the night, Ali defends his title against Finlay. Towards the end of the match, the Hart Foundation make their way to ringside. They begin circling the ring, and Ali becomes distracted. Ali starts shouting at the Hart Foundation to get for the Hart Foundation at ringside, leaning over the top rope as he reaches for them. The referee pulls Ali from the ropes and turns to tell the Hart Foundation they're both being ejected, or they're being ejected from ringside. As the referee is handling the Hart Foundation, Finlay uses a distraction to his advantage. Finlay blasts Ali in the ribs with his shillelagh. He tosses the club to the outside and covers Ali, getting a near fall on Ali. Ali is able to secure the victory with a roll-up and retain his title. Now, time for the match. And again, just spots. And I do have something that comes right after the match that's directly ties into this. Moonsault side slam from Ali to Gable. A double underhook flip pile driver from Hart to Ali. Heartbreaker, which is a shooting star leg drop from Hart to Ali. Springboard drop kick from Hart to Gable, seated in the corner. Diving cross body from the top rope to the outside from Ali to Hart. Moonsault off the top rope and through the announce desk from Gable to Ali. Diving headbutt from Gable to Hart. Slingshot rolling thunder into a neckbreaker slam from Ali to Gable. Tilt-a-whirl DDT from Ali to Gable. Cross arm breaker while hanging on the rope from Gable to Ali. Heart rate, back suplex spun out into a sit-out powerbomb off the top rope from Hart to Gable. Heart Attack 2.0, which is a shooting star elbow drop from Hart to Gable. And then finally, open heart surgery, which is a somersault corkscrew senton from Hart to Gable for a 2 count. Running Hurricane Rana into the steel steps, leaning in the corner from Ali to Hart. An alpha plex, which is an overhead belly-to-belly plex from Gable to Ali. Chaos Theory, O'Connor roll transition into a bridging German suplex from Gable to Hart for a 2 count. Double Spanish fly from off the top rope from Ali to both Gable and Hart. 054 from Ali to Hart for a 2 count. Coachman tries to hit Hart with the Rules of Wrestling book, but Hart ducks and hits Coachman with a Pele kick on the outside. Ankle lock from Gable to Ali. Teddy Hart blasts Chad Gable with the Rules of Wrestling book behind breaking the hold. And then Stu Hart special, which is a gory special, flipped into a sit-out powerbomb from Hart to Ali for the pin and the win. And then also, before I do what's coming next, I just want to say, when Chad Gable wins matches, Mike Nice goes in there and gives him gives the loser a participation trophy every time. I just forgot to mention that in my build. So after the match, the Foundation are in the ring celebrating. During the celebration, we hear a voice come over the PA system. Congratulations, Teddy. Teddy Hart looks around confused at first before the Globotron takes his attention. The camera pans up when we see Bret Hart on the screen. Congratulations on your victory. It seems maybe you were right. Maybe I was holding you back. Maybe I was too stuck in the past, too stuck in the old ways. I was hindering you. I was stopping you from spreading your wings and flying. I can't say. I can't say if I was holding you back. If I was, I apologize. But how you handled it? That's not what we do. That's not what families do. So you stick with your new school ways. I hope it gets you everything you're looking for. But I want you to know this. I'm working every day to get back to GPW. I am working tirelessly to get back to you, Teddy. Because when I get back, I'm going to deliver an old school ass whooping on you, Teddy. I tried to have a gentle hand. I didn't want to do to you what my father did to me. But it looks like I got no choice. Teddy, enjoy the time you have left. Because when I return to GPW, I'm dragging your ass to the dungeon. Teddy Hart and the Hart Foundation sell this news like it's the worst thing they've heard, throwing temper tantrums in the ring. And that's it.
So, I know why you had Teddy Hart win, because obviously the lead into the Bret Hart's thing. But personally, I think the wrong person won.
Okay.
I think for the build, the build was it was like 80 to 90% focused on the Hart Foundation, and what the fuck's the other group? Or Ali and the Service. and like there was a sprinkling of the Mount Olympus, which personally of the three competitors, Chad Gable's the most interesting to me. So I wanted more of the Chad Gable. Like he felt like a very much like a side character, and then he also lost. I would have felt I would have preferred. Thought he should have won, so that like them treating him like the third wheel wasn't pretty much just justified.
Yeah,
I
Um.
hear you.
So, but I get why you had Teddy win, but like I said, I wanted more Chad Gable is in that character, and I thought he should have won. Um. Overall, the match was really good though, so I'm gonna give you a 3.9.
bet.
I'll say you were so close to a 5 from me.
I knew with Ali losing, I wasn't gonna get a 5 from you.
Well, it wasn't even because Ali lost. I actually agree with Damone that Gable should have won.
Oh, okay.
I do think that Teddy Hart and the Hearts are the worst of the three choices. Like if I'm ranking, it's like Gable's like an inch above Ali, and then Ali's like 3 feet above Teddy Hart and his faction. So I think that's the most egregious part. I love the spots. Teddy Hart, he has a baller moveset. Fuck
Does.
him, but he can ball. Um, and then of course Gable Ali is a free banger already. Like that match is fucking. The storyline was entertaining. I really thought Gable was funny. Ali very much was like a elevated version of what we see in TNA doing well. The Hearts are the Hearts. They're whatever. I just don't like any of them. Like I don't even like Tyson Kidd like that.
That's fair.
But so I'm gonna give this a 4.75.
I'll take
I'm
it.
only gonna shave a quarter off because I like a lot of it, but just know it should have been Gable.
Okay. I'm very close to where Damone was at. I'm hating a little bit more. I didn't like some of the stuff from the what's it called, Mustafa Ali and them.
Okay.
Like I said, I felt they were the weak point to me. I did really enjoy Chad Gable as well. I see what you're doing with the Hart family. I did like the ending with the Hart family as well. I think the match was good. So I'm at a 3.75.
All right. Miguel.
It put me down for 4.25. I liked it. Nothing.
I love
They all
Mike's
said it.
extensive feedback. He's my favorite.
Maybe it'll get better next week. I don't know what to tell you.
My show or the feedback?
Yes.
Oh, that's Book It. Bye.
I don't know why I was thinking another segment. I was like, oh, he already did the thing. Where's the segment?
Yeah, the segment I combined with the match. It was the Bret Hart thing.
Gotcha.
I didn't know if you guys would want me to do that separate, but I felt like it was directly tied into the story.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's like
if it's combined, or not combined. If it's part of it, you got to
Yeah.
use it.
So let's find out where we can find these fuckers before we head out of here. Hi Fi Mike, can we find you yet?
No, leave me alone.
D Money, how about you?
You can find me on all the shit now owned by that piece of shit Elon Musk at DumbMoneyT13, DAMONEYT13.
Primetime, where can they find you?
Everywhere. Oh, wrong way. At try. I can't do it. I am Travvy T. That's IAMTRAVVYT.
And Bad Guy, tell them about your 37 shows.
You can catch me on all social medias at Bad Guy Spoken. Catch the Bad Guy Spoken podcast on YouTube's, and you can catch Unbiased, the football podcast. See TK throw up a little you like this on the same playlist, and you can also catch Hood Movie Review. Review all your favorite and not so favorite hood movies. It's also on the same playlist. And you can also catch Geek in the motherfucking sheets. We talk all things Marvel, anime, DC, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, all that shit. And you can also catch Not a Real Court, where we argue about everything, especially fruit, never vegetables.
And when are y'all watching How the Grinch Stole Bitches on Hood Movie Reviews?
That's going to be the one after this next one, because we just reviewed Who's the Man. That's going to be coming up in a couple days. And then we're going to review Higher Learning after that. And then it's my pick So I'm doing How the Grinch Stole Bitches, and then I'm gonna do another Tubi movie after that.
I feel like we could go back in the archives and listen to old endings of episodes and hear that exact conversation play out. When are you guys doing the Grinch Stole Bitches? You guys see, it's not gonna be this next time. It's gonna be the time after that because we just finished one and
That's how it
Kenny
is,
ain't,
man.
Kenny ain't
When
about to
y'all
do
were
this.
doing,
This is debating the vegetables all over again.
Fuck that.
Kenny
This is
don't
the
deliver on shit. He like Tony Khan.
first-
But
It's not my turn yet, so I gotta wait till it's my turn. Everybody gets 2 movies.
hey, speaking of Tony Khan, this is going to go right into my plug. I need help. If you're watching this, please go help me on Blue Sky. I made the damn mistake of going into an AEW space and daring to criticize AEW. These people are crazy, bro. I apologize to any Fed fan that I've insulted. Y'all are the normal ones.
Everybody, every single person.
These AEW sickos, they're not
John,
like my kind of sickos. They're crazy, bro. They called me a Nazi for not liking John Moxley. I hate
John,
it.
you deserve it because you're like this to us.
No, I'm saying I got called everything I've ever called somebody else and worse. I got like Edro, Fed Pill, all of it. Like,
I
I ate
love it.
shit
Talk that
today.
shit. Bully him.
But also
Right.
the
He's
Nazi
been
one.
so
That was
menacing.
the crazy one.
Don't help him. Help the AEW sickos.
Yeah, bully him.
Oh, help me. I didn't deserve this.
What's
I
your,
already had John Moxley and the
I
Young
mean,
Bucks
you do
before
kind
the
of deserve
pay-per-view,
it.
bro.
You can't say you don't deserve it.
Asking for help and then getting jumped by the people who's supposed to help you is hilarious.
What's your name on Blue Sky so I can talk shit too?
You can find me at Heel Pepsi Man on Blue Sky. Help me, bro.
Yeah, talk that shit.
You could also, if you play on PC specifically, because I guess 2K locked that shit up, download my Creator Wrestlers Heel Pepsi Man as well. With that being said, that's been an episode of Book It. See ya. Bye.
Bye.